Do you collect manga? Do you need a way to track said manga? Well, you are in the right place. Today, I am going to be showing you how I track my manga collection. So for the first 6-7 years of me collecting manga, I pretty much just kept what I had in my head. I used to just be able to pull out what number I had, and to be fair, I can do that with a lot of my series still today, but it's when I have series where I'm collecting it out of order, I can't necessarily be able to tell you which ones I have. Haiku is a good example. I have sporadic volumes all the way throughout, and I can't remember off the top of my head what I have. So originally the first thing I did was I just made a OneNote file and I just wrote out and listed the volumes and the series and volumes that I had, but I started to find it quite faffy to update and it was hard to track and keep on top of, so I decided to then move to Excel. So I started my Excel spreadsheet around 2018, I think. It has completely grown since. I'm going to walk you through how I've done it, what I've added and that sort of thing, why I've done it, and I hope that you find it interesting and helpful for you to track your manga going forward in 2022 and just the rest of your collecting life, I suppose. So, welcome to my manga spreadsheet. This is the summary tab. I'm going to sort of go through it a little bit, but I kind of want to walk you through the other tabs before I maybe come back to this one. I'm actually not too sure. I'm kind of just winging this as we go along. So pretty much as you can see at the bottom, we have a number of tabs. So we're on the summary tab at the moment, which is this. It gives me an overview of my manga. I've got some really sick stats. I love sick stats. Ones I tend to look at the most are current monthly reads and how many reads I'm on in the year. Of course, we're only 2 days into January, so that number's really low. It's very sad. I did hit 545 in 2021, so I'm hoping to build that number back up again. But yeah, we've got a whole bunch of other different stats here, and so we've got volumes read in just the last 7 days, the last 30 days, the last 365, so it's like a running. I tried to stay around the same sort of numbers because it means I'm on a similar sort of track to what I was for the last set of time, if that makes sense. Then we've got volume status, so read, unread, blocked. Blocked being I'm missing volumes so I can't read them. And then series status is the series I have complete. Am I up to date with releases in English in the UK, or am I behind? Are there still volumes coming out? Are there already volumes coming out, that I don't have? Then we have the number of volumes here. So the top one includes pre-orders. So if I've done a whole bunch of pre-order ordering, that number includes that, whereas the number at the bottom is how many volumes are on my shelves right now. I don't think that number is quite accurate. I think I'm missing some. So part of my January manga resolution is to go through and do a bunch of updating in my manga spreadsheet, check which volumes I've missed, because I've already found, I think, 2 volumes that I'd forgotten to mark as on my shelves. So I need to get up to date with that. And then series. I'll talk a bit about how I decide what's a series on the next tab, but that's quite a big number. And then just for funsies, I've got my top publishers and top categories. I did have them as genres, but I do on shonen and shoujo are demographics, not genres, so I've categories, how I'd group them together. We'll get a bit more into that as well later on. I just thought that'd be neat, and I've got a bit of space for when I decide to add some more. I also have some bookmarks that'll just jump me to the tabs at the bottom, but actually it's easy enough to just tap on the tabs. So most of these stats, as you can see, it's just a reference to a cell number on another sheet, so I need to go and show you where I get those numbers from. But yeah, most of these are just referencing other cells with formulas, so I won't be able to go through the formulas till I get to them on their correct tab. The last thing of note on this summary page for now is the search function here. So this is going to sound very strange, and thankfully I know this guy doesn't use YouTube, so he won't get annoyed at me. I have a friend at work that I have been working with recently, and he loves spreadsheets, loves spreadsheets. His free time is happily just looking at spreadsheets. And he's very, very honest about it. He loves them. And we were doing some work together, and we were doing something with spreadsheets. And I was like, oh, do you want to see my manga spreadsheet? And he went, oh yeah, okay. And I sent him a link, and we maybe got distracted. But he ended up just telling me off. He was like, you've got all this data and you don't do enough with it. Do you have a search function? And I was like, I don't know what you mean. He was like, well, how do you find it? And I was like, well, I scroll. Or if I'm on my laptop, I can control F. And he was like, nope, that's not good enough. I'm going to build you a search bar. All right, okay. So that's what he did. I did not do this. He did this. Thank you, Andrew. Not that you'll ever know that I'm thanking you. So yes, he has built his search bar. So if I type something in here, let's pick witch, because I know I have a number of series with witch in the title, and hit enter, you will see it goes and finds every series in my collection with the word witch. How amazing is this? Oh my gosh, also I have a lot of series with the word witch in, more than I thought. Goodness me. So what's neat is it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily matter if it's at the beginning of the series name. It doesn't necessarily matter if it's its own word. For example, I've just searched and it's pulled back Animal Crossing New Horizons Deserted Island Diary. And that is because the word island has AND as part of its name. So that's why it's pulled that one back. But it's really handy when I'm out and about. So I'm able to, because this is Excel online, I am able to access it from any laptop, any phone, and that's actually the main reason I was so keen on this, was because, if I hit enter there, if I'm out on the go, if I'm, say, just in the manga shop, I'm in Travelling Man, it's like, ooh, they have a blue exorcist. That's fine. I don't know if you can see actually. Oh, it's just glowy. Oh no. Oh no. If I pull it closer? No, that's just blurry. Oh, well, I can tell you if you don't believe me. Nope, it's just blurry. Well, basically, what is on the spreadsheet is just on the phone. So I can use the search function on my phone. So say Blue Exorcist. They've got some volumes of Blue Exorcist, and I'm wondering, is it a volume that I'm missing? I can search blue, and as you can see, because it's the same spreadsheet, so anything I do on the phone, it'll do on here. As you can see, it has brought back blue, all the series I have with blue in the title, and its information. So I can see I am missing volumes 7 and 14 of Blue Exorcist, so I can be like, oh, they have 14, wonderful, I can pick that up. And it's just a wonderful way of being on the go and quickly checking what manga I have, because I have so many different series, it can sometimes be a bit hard to scroll, I miss it. So this is a wonderful feature, and I love it so much, and I actually use it pretty much daily. If you are interested in the formula, I will show you. Whether or not I can explain it to you, I'm not sure, as I didn't do it. So this is the formula at the top in the bar. Pretty much, I think we go and get an index of the table on the Manga tab and bring it back, and then we filter it based on if there's any text in the cell here. So B14, we filter based on that, I think. Goodness me, that boy is one smart cookie. Right, so I've talked enough about the summary tab. Let's get on to the next tab, which is the Manga tab. So the Manga tab is how I track series. It has series that are specific to a series. So author, what volumes I have, its category, artist, publisher. So that sort of thing is how I track it here. So this table includes everything that I have on pre-order, stuff that I've ordered and not yet arrived is included on this one. Basically, I don't want to buy something twice. If I've bought it on pre-order and if I've ordered it and it's not arrived, I still won't buy it again accidentally, even if I don't have it already, if that makes sense. So I keep everything alphabetical, so I'll walk through the columns. So the first column, really simple, it's the name of the series. I break down series by if the title is different. So pretty much, if let's scroll down to Pokemon, because there's a lot of Pokemon. Here we go. So I track all the Pokemon manga separately. So each movie volume, even though they're just one shot, it's its own series, because it's got a different title and it's got its own information. It might have different authors, it might have different artists. That is kind of one of the reasons that my series count is quite high. Another thing that bloats it up a little is series that do chapters. So like ReZero. ReZero it has chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 out at the moment, and then within the chapters they have so many volumes. So to keep those tracked, each of those is a separate series, even though it is one big series overall. Another more common one, if I can get there easily enough. Oh, I've jumped over it. No, I can't do my alphabet. You'd think after all this I could do my alphabet a bit better. So another one I do that with is JoJo. So each JoJo part is a different series in my spreadsheet. So part 1, part 2, part 3, part 5, part 5. So I can track them individually, mainly to see that... Mainly to see that, is it complete, which ones are complete, which ones am I behind on, and yeah, pretty much why. So if we go back to the top and I'll walk through. So series, that's what series is. Volume count. Volume count is the number of volumes I have starting from 1. So how many volumes do I have a clear run of starting from the first volume? So you can already see a couple of examples where, say, 20th Century Boys, I am missing volumes 1 and 2. So I have 0 volumes starting from volume 1. And then a bit further along is where I track out of order volumes. So out of order list, I have 3 to 11 of 20th Century Boys, and then that is 9 volumes. So I use this out of order volume count to track how many volumes I have out of order to help me get my how many manga volumes do I have count. So this is what helps me also make sure I don't buy duplicates, for example, because there are a number of series where I've been buying a lot of out of order. Arjun is one here. If I search, as I keep talking about it, Haiku is another one where I've bought a whole lot of out of order. Like, if you can look at that, can you see that bar at the top? That's all the Haiku I have, but no volume 3, so this count starts at 2, and then I have 25 out of order, and that 25 does not include 1 and 2. 25 is just any beyond, pretty much. So yes, so that's how I track which ones I have, which volumes I have from a series. I also track status, so as I said earlier, behind means there are volumes that have been released and I just don't have them. It doesn't care if the series is out of stock or not, it's just, have volumes been released for this? Do I have them? No, I'm behind. Complete is, I have all the volumes for that series. The series is complete. And up to date, I am up to date with English releases in the UK. I feel like I always need to clarify the UK because the UK does get releases much later usually than the US. An example being, say, Mashal, as of, that was the date, the 2nd of January 2022, only 2 volumes of Mashal have been released in the UK, however volume 4 has just released in the US. It just is how it is. A lot of manga is printed in North America, so understandably it's easier to ship around, and it just takes a bit long to get over here. It's fine, but it does mean that when I say I'm up to date, I am up to date, even if for some of you I might not be. And the last one, which isn't actually that common, is the cancelled. So it means that the series was cancelled. There might still be volumes I'm missing. For example, Act Age did have 2 English prints, but Volume 2 never made it over to the UK anyway, so I probably will never get that one anyway. But so that's what that means. Cancelled means the series was cancelled. Whether or not I'm up to date is dependent. So I've talked about the out of order volume count, which is just a count of the volumes that are out of order. This is the actual list of volumes that I have. And the volumes in series list is If the series is complete, how many volumes are there? Now this number could be, so I could be up to date on a series, but I'm trying to find an example here. Boys Run the Riot. So I am up to date. I have 3 volumes. Volume 4 is not out yet, but we do know that Volume 4 is the last volume in the series. So I do know that there will be 4 volumes in the series. I can put that there. Same with Breaker. I read that Breaker is only going to have 5 volumes in the new format, so I can put that there even though they're not released in English yet. If the series is ongoing, I leave it as ongoing, and yeah, that's what that is. So our next column is category. I used to have it as genre, but I do know that a lot of what I use as genres aren't genres, the demographics, so I decided to use category because it felt a bit more acceptable, broader, looser, I'm not sure. So I've got to be honest, how I categorize a series is based on what I feel it is when I've read it. It's not based on its official demographic genre category. And I don't know if that's going to bother people. I don't really care, because this is a spreadsheet for me. It's my spreadsheet. I'm more than happy for people to go and have a look, but for me, when I decide what a category is, it's because I want to associate it with other series similar to it, is why I want to categorize. So for example, Sweat and Soap is quite a well-known one. People think it's a josei, but actually it's a seinen. I wouldn't want to necessarily on my spreadsheet associate Sweat and Soap with other seinen series. I want to associate it with the josei series. So that's why I would categorize it. I have categorized it as a josei on my spreadsheet, and I'm fine with that because it makes me happy. But I understand that isn't its demographic. I feel there is a difference, and I'm highlighting it. This is how I like to do it. I'm not telling you that's what it is. I know I'm wrong, and I'm fine with that. Yes. If I show you, so I'll show you in a moment how many different categories I have. A lot of them are very much just, I think that'll do, and I don't like adding too many more. I try to keep it cut down. So next we have subcategory. Subcategory is quite a new thing. I still have quite a lot of gaps because I said it's quite a new thing. It was pretty much, if I've got a lot of a category, how do I group them further down again? And particularly I wanted to use this for a number of my isekais, because I know a lot of people are put off isekai because of some of the more common tropes, harems, video game sort of stuff, but there is a lot of isekai that isn't like that, and I wanted to be able to group the isekai that isn't like that into, oh, you want to try an isekai but you like romance, then you should try and so on. I haven't gotten too far in completing that myself. I need to do it a bit more. Then we've got author, which is sort of new-ish, kind of. What I used to do was, I didn't used to have an artist. That's very new. That's a new column. And as soon as we scroll back down a little bit, there's lots of gaps. There's loads of gaps. And when I only had the author category, I used to, there was no rhyme or reason, but I'd just randomly decide if I dropped the author or the artist in, and I decided like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. So I've separated them out, but I've not finished tidying up. As you can see there, I still have the artist in the author column because I've just not tidied it up yet. But that is just an ongoing task. I completely fill them out when I add a new series. It's just retro going back to add the older ones. And then we have the publisher column, which is just who's the publisher for the series, just so I can see which is my most common publishers. It's quite interesting to see. Unsurprisingly, it's probably Viz. I think we can check my summary tab here. Yep, it's Viz by such a long way. Oh my god. Oh goodness me. Yes, let's go back to the manga. And then finally is our last column, which is volumes in print. I don't keep this up to date. I pretty much added the number when I added the series to my spreadsheet, or when sometimes I think I've once done an update of the volumes. So for if the series isn't complete, say it's ongoing, what's a better example? This one, what's this one? Assassin's Creed Dynasty, only one volume has come out in English, the series is ongoing, but there are 4 volumes in Japan, I think. Or is it Japan? No, I'm not sure if that one's come out in Japan. Let's find a better one. Black Clover. No, because I don't think that one's up to date. You see what I mean. Basically, this is just how many volumes there are available out there. If I was to try and if everything was released in English and available, how many volumes would I have is what I'm wanting to get from that column, pretty much. I've realised there's one thing I didn't talk about, and that is the colour scheme, which is very obvious, very bright in the middle of the screen, and I forgot about it. Pretty much it is colour-coded based on its status, so purple for behind, green for complete, yellow for up-to-date, and red for cancelled. It's just nice, I find, like, at a glance, which series am I already up-to-date on. Primarily, I use it for checking which ones I'm up to date, so I can then go and check if any new pre-orders are up. Though it is a little bit, there's not much point to it anymore because I filter my columns now, which is another thing I want to show you next. So a really neat thing about having it set out in a table like this in Excel is, and you've turned it into a table, is that you can filter your columns to show you one thing. So quite often, if sometimes people will be like, do you have any recommendations for a 1-volume series? And I can go, let me check. So I would filter my volumes in series column, so I can only see ones with 1 volume. Let's just see mine. Give it a moment. And then here we go. So these are all the series in my collection with 1 volume, which makes it really easy when people are like, can you recommend me a 1-volume series? I'm like, yes, I can, actually. So yeah, that's what I love doing my spreadsheet. I can do a little bit of a fancy one. So let's clear that filter. Say someone's like, I want to read some series that is, I'm trying to think of an example. Let's say I want to read an isekai that's less than 10 volumes. And you're like, okay, so category, I will select isekai, apply. And then I will also select volumes in series and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Though I could do a more fancier one and just do less than or equal to 5. So it will pull out any isekais that are 5 volumes or less because of my 2 filters on the table. And it turns out there's quite a few. So if you're into isekai, you want to try isekai and you want to try one with not many volumes, try any of these. I can't tell you if they're good or bad or not though. Right, so that's pretty much the manga tab. And yep, so it just tracks like stuff to do around the series itself. So let's move on to the next tab, which is volumes. So the volumes tab is for tracking information about the individual volumes. This one is a little bit of a beast, as there is a line for every volume in my collection, and if you can't remember how many that is, it's that one, it's that number, because I only track volumes once they're on my shelves. I did used to track pre-orders, and there's about 3 volumes that are still lingering in here that are pre-orders, but I've stopped doing that. I'll only track it once it's on my shelf. And so actually, where do I start? Let's start with the volume. So this is the name of the series, and it is alphabetical order, same as the other one. I kind of assigned series to just completely random colours, just to make it easier at a glance where the block of the series is and see where the differences are. They noticeably get a bit more vibrant, a bit lower down, and also when I've added some volumes, when I've added a new series in, I'm like, well, I'm going brighter and brighter. Yep, so that's that column. There is a line for every volume I have. The next column is the volume number. Next column, column C, is the rating. So if I've read it, I will rate it on the scale of 1 to 10. Often I find I tend to be more favourable and I give a lot of 6s and 7s, but that's, yeah, and that's quite neat. Sometimes I go back and I read a bit of a volume and I'm like, why did I assign it such a high volume, or why did I give it such a low one? And I might go and adjust it over time. Something that I can't easily show you right now, but I've been working on like some Power BI graphs, and it gives me like it'll give me like a line graph over time of my ratings for a series, and you can see like particularly some longer running series like say Dr. Stone, you can see where there was like an arc I didn't really like and it sort of stuck around 6 and 7, and then there was a really good arc and it was like 9, 8, and it's really neat and interesting to look at. The next column is status. So read, I've read it. Unread, I've not read it. Blocked, I can't read it. Blocked is, say, I'm missing volumes to be able to read them. For example, 20th Century Boys, I have 3 to 11, but not 1 and 2, so I can't read my 3 to 11. Date bought is the day I bought the volume. So I added the volume tab October 2020. So I had a bunch of manga before then that I had bought, because I've been buying manga for like 10 years now. So a number of the dates prior to 2020 are a bit dubious. Thankfully in 2020, because of lockdown, most of my orders were done online, so I could go and find my order history and figure out when I bought it. But prior to that, it was kind of just a lot of guessing. I know the years I've got volumes, but other than that, the month was a bit of a guess. The day was definitely a guess, but it's more or less right. I know because I know the years, so that's quite neat. I've mostly added dates for all the series I had before, mostly. But after October 2020, all the dates are completely accurate. I pretty much go and do it like the morning after. So I read during the day, and then the first thing in the morning I'll do is I'll go and update my manga spreadsheet, or even just do it on the fly, because I can do it on my phone. It just is a little harder to navigate this big spreadsheet, this big table on my phone. So the next column is date completed. As I was just saying, that's the day that I've read it. I think, have I got muddled? Maybe? Yeah, the date completed. Again, some of the ones that I read prior to me making this table is a little muddled and a bit wrong, but going forward it's all correct. And it was wonderful for tracking how much I read in 2021. It was actually like really motivating seeing the number go up, so it got me really into it. So the next couple of columns I kind of used for my Instagram. So I joined the manga community pretty much through Instagram. It was the first thing I joined, and I really enjoyed taking the pretty pictures, and I really liked taking pictures of like colourful spines, rainbow spines, lots of like the same colour. So I wanted to track that sort of thing to make it a bit easier. I know like you can see the spines on your shelves, but sometimes it's just like, okay, I need red spines. Which red spine shall I go and grab? Cover colours are a bit more tricky, because obviously to check the colour of the cover you need to go and pull it off the shelf pretty much, so being able to get those quickly would be really neat. And cover characters, it was like, okay, so I want to take some pictures of this character, I'll just go find them, which ones are they on, that sort of thing. I thought it'd be really neat. I haven't particularly stayed on top of it. I'm better at doing the spines than any of the other ones, but I need to do the other ones, and I'm kind of looking forward to just sitting down for maybe a few days and filling in the gaps on like the spreadsheet like this. So the next column is the ISBN. So I am in the process of writing an app for my phone to track my manga, and as part of that, what I really ultimately want to be able to do is when I get a new volume, scan the barcode, and out of that you get an ISBN number, and then I want to add it to the collection based on that. Then when I've read it, I want to scan the barcode again, and I get pretty much a pre-filled form with all the data that's already gotten for that volume. It's just, I then put in, say, the rating, maybe auto completes the date completed, but I just need to then put in the rating. I don't need to do anything else. I don't need to find it. I just need to scan it, rate it, boop, we're gone. I have looked into a few APIs for ISBN about getting data back, but my concern so far is a lot of the data that it seems to pull back is really inconsistent. For example, say One Piece 97, it might come back saying One Piece 97 as the title of the volume. Now, separating the One Piece and the 97 isn't that hard, but there is no consistency. Sometimes it might be One Piece 97, it might be One Piece Volume 97, it might be Series One Piece Volume 97, 97 One Piece, and it just sounds really faffy, and there are ways around it, but I don't want to do that straight away. That's like a end of the line, nice to have sort of thing, but the ultimate first thing to do is get it so I can scan the barcode and it'll fill in a form with stuff that I've already got on the series. The last volume is events, and it looks a little sad because I keep forgetting to fill things in for it. Pretty much it's the same along with taking nice pictures on Manga Instagram. It's, say I want to take a picture of like a school festival, a 2-page panel, a beach, if everyone's gone to the beach, I'd throw that into the events column. I'm trying to find it, here we go. Asdora Volume 1, flying, though I suppose that happens in every volume. So just things like that is what I want to do it for. Or say I do a video of top 5 series with beach scenes, I don't know. And that's what I'd use this one for. I've not particularly stayed on top of it. I kind of wanted to have it so every volume had an event. It doesn't have to be anything big, just what did I take away from that volume as like something key, and that would go in the events column. And I just need to do a bit more of that really. So the last thing to show you here really before we move on to the next couple of tabs is this down the side. Nowadays I don't use it as much, but so what happens is you can see there are numbers down the side here. Now if I was to collapse some of the rows, let's say for some reason I want a list of all the manga volumes in my collection with, let's do blue spines. So here are all the volumes I have with blue spines, and as you can see on the rows down the left, we have collapsed the ones that aren't blue, but the numbers haven't changed, understandably. That is their row number. But if I wanted to figure out how many I have that are blue, that's less helpful. Or to find out, for some reason, I want to pull out the 18th blue spine volume in my collection. Don't ask me why, but I do. That's what I want to do. So this formula here, though I did say I wasn't going to talk about formulas till later on, we'll ignore that. This formula here basically tells me what number count is this cell based on what isn't collapsed. And that's all that is. And then we drag it down and it's the same for all of these. So if I want that 18th blue spine, it's this one. It's Attack on Titan Junior High. How neat's that? So I used to use that a lot before I had some proper formulas to track how many volumes I'd read, say, this month or this year. I'd use the filters on the date bought or date collected. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the volume tab. So we're going to move on to the next couple of tabs, and then I'm going to come through back and walk through some of the formulas. So the next tab is the light novels tab. Pretty much most of the light novels belong to my partner. He's really big into light novels, particularly isekai. And honestly, he isn't really that bothered about tracking them because he doesn't have a huge amount, as he puts it. But I want to track it because I'm often the one who buys him the light novels. Now, pretty much this table is a very old version of the manga spreadsheet. It's not had a whole bunch of love. It's old colour schemes. It's not been tidied up. It's missing columns now. There's this weird cell up here that doesn't show properly for reasons best known to itself. But yeah, it's pretty much the similar sort of thing to the other one. It's just missing a bunch of columns. And that's how we track the light novels. And then finally, the last tab is the want to try tab. These are just series that I'm really interested in trying. I've seen people talk about them, say good things. People have recommended them to me. I'm always up for updating this. Pretty much, if anyone's ever recommended me a series, I'll put it on here. And if I haven't, it's because I've forgotten. There is no other reason, unless it's horror. I'm not reading horror. Don't bother recommending me horror because I'll just go, no. Anything else, always up for recommendations. They'll go straight in here. Whether or not I ever actually managed to pick them up, because I know there are some in here that are really out of print, out of stock, unavailable. You just can't, nope. And it's like, okay, fine, nice, okay, guess I won't then. But yeah, so that's the series to try. It's just a list. There's nothing, it's not even a table. It's not particularly fancy in any way. So there is one more tab, and that is the videos tab, and that's what I use to track what videos I'm making, but I'm not going to show you that because it's spoilers. So let's go back to the Manga tab first and look at some of the formulas over here. So we actually have I have a bit of a key here to sort of explain what each of the columns are if you're a bit confused coming into it blind, and then I have my mini tables here to track the data pretty much. So these are the sort of cells that the summary page references. It's nothing too fancy. So the series status for complete, so we just have this Countif formula here. So we have two parts to the Countif. So first part of the Countif is the range. So what range of data are we looking at for this information? So I have given it the column C. So C is, if we scoot along to the left, C is my status column, so I want to find out how many in these are complete. So all I need to do is give it the range of the column, which is C:, which just gives it the column instead of specific. You don't need to give it numbers necessarily if you're just doing the entire column. And then the criteria, which is V4, which is the text in this cell here. And all it does is it goes through that column. If it finds a cell that matches this cell, it adds it to the total. And that is all it is. That's all that formula is there. It's the same with this one, except it's doing up to date, and it's the same with this one, except it's doing behind. Now, I think these ones are pretty much the same, yes, except instead of doing a reference to a cell, I've just typed the text in, but there is no difference between me doing shonen or me doing, what is that? That's V9. So if I type V9, 9, and hit enter, it does the same thing. There is no difference. And in fact, some of these I need to update. So instead of numbers, it's just the column itself. But they're pretty much all, use all the same formula. They do Countif on a specific column, looking for a specific set of text. So let's go to the volumes tab again to go look at some of those formulas. So you can see a whole bunch of me practicing formulas around the edges and it not working. That's apparently a bar graph. It's not worked though. Right, so these are actually pretty similar to the other one, just with some slight tweaks. Again, it's a Countif. I love my Countifs. So this is a Countif, and it counts the F column, which was my date completed. And what it is doing is it is looking for any dates between today and today minus 7 days. So this bit here, the today open close bracket, that is a formula built into Excel itself, which returns the current date. So I didn't do that, that is part of Excel. So it's just in the column, count any dates between today and today minus 7. It's the same for monthly, except it's minus 30, and it's the same for yearly, except it's minus 365, to give me that like running total of how many I've read on average over the last 7, 30 and 365 days. The status is the same as the manga one, Countif column, reference to the status text here. The year read is a little bit more complex, but not much more. So again, it's a Countif on the column for date read, date completed, and the only difference is we're giving it a range between 2 dates as opposed to just anything before this. So this one is a range of dates between the 1st of January 2022 and the 1st of January 2023, and they are all the reads I have done this year that count. And it's the same for the reads by month, the only difference being instead of me changing the year, I change the day and the month depending. So the last formula to show you is the current monthly reads. So this is how many volumes have I read in the current month, regardless. I don't have to go and change anything. There's no static variables. It is a dynamic value that updates itself. And this was a mixture of me doing a lot of Googling and a lot of trial and error. So this is the formula. Basically, it does a Countif on the column again. The only difference is to get the start and the end date for the range, it uses this built-in formula in Excel called EO month. And EO month gets, now I can't quite remember if it's the first day of the month or the last day of the month, and the current month. So it doesn't matter, it returns I think it's the last day. I think it returns the last day of the current month, and then using that, you can work out where the beginning of that current month is, and then get a count of dates between the two, which is how that one works and how it dynamically does it. I don't need to do anything, it just continuously, that number updates itself based on what I say I've read. Now, the final cell, which is blank because I haven't worked out a way to do it, is trying to figure out a way to dynamically learn how much I've read in the current year. There isn't an equivalent formula of EO month for year, and so I'm still working on that one. Work in progress. It's always a bit of fun figuring out formulas. So now if we return to the summary page, you can see that now you know where a number of these numbers have come from. So series comes from the Manga Tab, whereas and volumes comes from the Manga Tab. Now the volumes I have on my shelf, I cheat a little, and I I just do a sum of these three cells here, because these are from the volumes tab, and read, unread, and blocked are the only statuses I have on my shelf, if that makes sense. There are no pre-orders on my shelf, and there isn't another status. So the sum of those is how many volumes are on my shelf, and that's where that one comes from. You've seen where current month read comes from, and the same for 2022, which, as I said earlier, these are all just references to another tab, and that's how you do a reference to another tab. You do equals the name of the tab, exclamation mark, and then the cell number. Which I don't think I said earlier. But yes, I think that might be pretty much everything I have to show you, actually. If you want to go and have a look at my spreadsheet yourself, there is actually a link down below in the description. In fact, there's been a link down below in my description ever since the beginning. There is also a link in my link tree. There's a link on my YouTube about. I've had a public spreadsheet available for, I think since I made it, well over a year, about a year. Yeah, over a year. Goodness, that took me a moment, didn't it? It's been available for a while. The public spreadsheet I only update probably twice a month, whereas the master one I update daily. But yeah, so go check it out. Even though you can't edit it, you should be able to still see the formulas. You should be able to say if you want to borrow my columns, you should be able to copy those. If you have any further questions that I didn't answer, or you just want more to ask questions about spreadsheets, I'd be so happy if you did ask me questions about spreadsheets. Throw them into the comments down below. I'm not a particularly huge spreadsheet whiz. I'm trying to be. I'm trying to improve myself, particularly in like Excel, because that's what I'm using. I have contemplated once or twice just throwing my spreadsheet into like a SQL DB or something like that, but if I'm still using it and interacting with it daily, I probably won't. Maybe if I do the app, I might at a later point. Haven't decided yet. I kind of like how pretty and cute it looks, and SQL isn't that pretty and cute. I feel the important thing for you is, if you decide to do a spreadsheet, think about what data do you want to get out of your collection. That's pretty much how I've come to all of this. I was like, I want to track how much I'm reading, so I added a date completed. I wanted to track the author because I want to see if I've got any series from the same author, so I added an author column. It's like, what do you want, and track it. Yeah, I don't know if that's helpful or not, but it's just, what do you want from your collection? Only you can decide that. You copy mine if you want. I'd be very flattered if you're like, hers is perfect. But it might not collect the data you want. It might collect too much data, you might find it overwhelming. You could always say, copy my columns and cut back the ones you don't care about. Maybe you don't need a subcategory, maybe you don't care about publisher or whether or not it's ongoing. Just, yeah, take my spreadsheet and use it how you will. Yeah, I'd love to help you track your manga. But I think I'm about done now, so I'm probably going to wrap it up there. So yes, if you have any other comments around manga collecting or spreadsheets or what I do with my spreadsheet, do let me know down below. I'd love to hear it, and because I like talking about my spreadsheets. If you haven't already, don't forget to like the video, and if you're new, consider subscribing for lots of awesome manga content. I have like 3 or 4 more videos filmed and ready to go, including some manga shopping ones that I did over my Christmas that I've not edited and put up yet, but I do need to do those. Also, don't forget to check out my social medias down below. If you want to chat to me about spreadsheets and stuff, Discord's probably a good place. Check out the Manga Dudettes Discord. I'm usually pretty active on there, and I will answer spreadsheet questions when you throw them my way. But otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye!